I'm so happy, thank you for inviting me to be here in Oxford and with students of Oxford to discuss many important issues. And as all of you know, that now we are suffering from crisis around the world. And this crisis is really interconnected. And the most important crisis now that we witnessed is, the erosion of the national states and the collapsing of the global order. And also at the same time is the tearing of the social fabric within societies. So I will discuss with you these three important elements, and please don't lose hope when I talk about it, because at the end we will discuss how can we work together to solve or to face these problems. So let's start with the erosion of the national states. It's important to know that the erosion of the national states came from two important reasons. The first is the dictator themselves, the authoritarian regime, the authoritarianism itself. Because the authoritarianism doesn't respect the social contract between people and the ruler. In general, the state itself is a social contract between the ruler, between the governor and people. They authorize the governor with the authority in exchange with what? With providing security, with providing services and protecting the security and justice. So what is happening in the dictatorial regimes? They collapse the system from within because they don't build it on the equal citizenship. They transfer the society or the state from the state of citizen to be the state of the individual, to the state of the ruler, the state of family, and the state of tribes. They linked the state with themselves. So when they collapse, when the ruler fell, the state fell directly. Because it is not a state of institutions. This is number one. Number two, it's because of the external elements. So these external elements came from those superpower countries and regional countries that's afraid from the existence of the national state in their neighborhood. And that is exactly what's happening with us in the Arab countries, in the Arab Spring countries. The first reason that the counter-revolution powers, countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Emirates, they waged the counter-revolution against the Arab Spring because two things. First, because they are against democracy. They are afraid from democracy. The spreading of democracy, the success of the model of these other Arab Spring countries, then it will, import it in their societies. This is number one. Number two, they are afraid from the new states that will emerge after the Arab Spring. Because what they want weak states. Because of these weak states, they will be able to practice their hegemony, their influence. So they prefer a dictator loyal to them than the will of people. And they prefer If they don't have a dictator that they can control, like what happened after Arab Spring, we forced the dictators to flee, or to leave the power. What was the alternative? Okay, let these countries to live under the militias and chaos. So militia and chaos is better option for these countries because they want those countries like Yemen, like Egypt, like Tunisia, like Syria, to be weak countries. They are afraid from strong countries, especially in Yemen. And this is what happened in my country, Yemen. Yemen, when we revolt against the dictator, against Ali Abdullah Saleh, the first thing that we make revolution for is building a new state. We want a new state based on justice, based on freedom, based on equality, based on development, based on partnership, and based on rule of law. And we forced him to leave the authority by peaceful way. Peaceful way. We didn't attack anything. It was 100% peaceful revolution. We didn't use any shot, any ballot. We didn't attack any police station, any state institutions, even the institutions inside the freedom squares and exchange squares. And we forced him after daily sit-ins and demonstrations for 9 weeks, sleeping in the tents, demonstrating every day, every night, every morning, until we forced him to leave the authority. And after that, we accepted his party to be with us in the transitional period. We gathered all Yemeni people in this transitional period and make a government, practice the tolerance and partnership, and lead Yemen during 3 years of transitional period with full human rights, especially with the expression rights, with the rights of association. There wasn't any political prisoners. And we led the country with somehow stable economy. We raised the salary of people. And we gathered all Yemeni people in the national dialogue for 9 months, discussing all the problems of Yemen, all the issues of Yemen. Gathering all Yemenis from north to south, from east to west. Gathering them, all the Yemeni powers, representatives, gathering them in that national dialogue, and we solved all the roadmap for solving Yemeni problems. We discussed the economy, we discussed the political problems, we discussed the rule of law, we discussed the accountability, we discussed the transitional justice, we even discussed the shape of the country itself. We discussed the southern issue, we discussed the Saada issue, everything, and we put it in a very important, roadmap called the مخرجات الحوار الوطني, the national dialogue outcomes. And after that, we wrote all Yemeni dreams in the draft of constitution. It was just steps to take this constitution to the referendum. The coup happened. To stop the wheels of change that created by peaceful revolutions. The coup happened by whom? By the counter-revolution forces led by Ali Abdullah Saleh, the dictator. He made alliance with the Houthi militia, supported from Iran. And the ironic thing that it is Ali Abdullah Saleh was supported by by Saudi Arabia and Emirates. It's something you can't imagine how Saudi Arabia and Emirates came with Iran. Because those two countries, they have a lot of disagreements, they have a lot of conflict, but they agreed on one thing, is to collapse the horizon of building a new Yemen, is attacking the peaceful revolution and to stop its change wheels. So here in Yemen, as an example, you see how the state origin happened. It's because the dictatorship from one hand and from the external interference. And also in this thing, the complicity of the international power, of the superpower countries like US, like Britain also wasn't, absent. It was there. There was afraid from the alternative, from the change. Also, they think that it's safe to have alliance with the dictator or with chaos more than with the people that have the will of sovereignty. And people who has dignity and people who really has vision for a new state. So this is what happened in Yemen. And the one who is really lead this method of collapsing the countries in the region is Emirates and Iran. Both of them has a clear agenda to destroy countries. A clear agenda. Emirates, after they waged the war, Saudi Emirates war in Yemen, look, they supported Ali Abdullah Saleh in the coup to destroy the transitional period and to occupy Sana'a, and they had some hidden agreement with Ali Saleh and Houthi militia that you have to stop in the north, Sana'a in the north. But when the alliance of Ali Saleh and Houthi militia moved to the south, then they said, no, you have to stop. Then they waged the Arab coalition, which is the Saudi Emirates coalition war. Against what they claim that they waged this war to restore the Yemeni legitimacy, to face Houthi militia. But the reality that Emirates in this coalition did something else totally, which is destroying the legitimacy. Not protecting the legitimacy, no. Not restoring the legitimacy, no. Destroying a systematic attack against legitimacy until destroyed. What they did, instead of facing the Houthi militia, they created another militias in the liberated cities, and the cities that is not under the control of Houthis. So they create another militia, another armed forces. These militia and these armed forces loyal to Emirates, totally, not to the legitimacy, not to the state of Yemen, no. And they occupy the islands, the ports, the coasts, and the most important strategic, position in Yemen. And they create this armed, groups as a method to reach to the dividing Yemen, to dismantle Yemen. And this is what they say, what they do. And if you follow the news, what is the current situation in Yemen and the strategy of UAE in in dividing Yemen. It is not a strategy of Yemeni people, it is a strategy from outsiders, from UAE. And this strategy itself is implemented in Sudan. They support the Rabit militia الدعم السريع, Rabit
support forces.
Sorry?
Support forces.
Yeah, Rabit support forces. And the same thing with Libya, they support Haftar. So they have that vision that they can't build influence inside these countries unless they dismantle these countries. And they have a strategy to إعادة هندسة, to rebuild the countries, to redivide it to very small continents. So, and the same thing with Iran. Iran plays the same thing with supporting militias. Not supporting the state, supporting militias. They supported Houthis in Yemen. They supported Hezbollah in Lebanon, and many militias in the region. So it is there, those militias and those armed forces is their tool to implement and to have interests and to implement their hegemony and influence. So from this scene, there is another very complicated scene also. As we suffer from dictatorship, from those counter-revolution countries, from superpowers who want to dismantle our countries, now the threat is become bigger and bigger and bigger. Now the global order itself is under threat. Under threat. And this from the day one when it started, because unfortunately it based on the powerful people, not on the people around the world. It served powerful nations and countries, not the weak, the weakened, no, one, not the vulnerable one. And this is what we witness it with the global order, with many situations and cases. When they invade Iraq and Afghanistan, when Russia invade Ukraine, and now when Trump kidnapped the president of Venezuela. We're against that. We're against the president of Venezuela. He is a dictator. He deserves to leave the power. He deserves to be in the prison of Venezuelan people, not to be kidnapped from a country claim that they are democratic and they want to protect democracy around the world, or to protect America from drugs mafia, while the truth is they want to practice hegemony there and want to steal the wealth of people. So this is kind of collab, and we see it in Palestine, in Gaza, when genocide happened and silence was there. The global order didn't protect the Palestinian people from genocide. And now we see it and we watch it with the project of Trump of the اللي هو مركز السلام العالم security the global peace center port they call it port, yeah, the global peace. This is a very dangerous project, very dangerous. The goal of this port is to collapse the global order, is to collapse the United Nations itself. I had in most of my speeches around the world, I was still saying that the United Nations didn't implement its mission for serving people and protecting the people around the world. And I called for reforms in all the global order system, especially with Security Council. Especially with Security Council. With using veto against people. With using veto as a power of implementing influence and interests. Veto just for the sake of interest of its people, not for the people around the world. So I called for that reforms, and I still call for it. But I am against any kind of method to collapse the global order. We need to reform the global order, and we should stand very firmly against this initiative of Trump of creating this global peace port. And last thing, which is very important, now with the origin of states, with the spreading authoritarianism, with tearing the countries, and the tearing and destruction of the global order, there is something else which is very, very, very important, which is collapsing and tearing the social coherence, the social fabric of people around the world. In our countries, in Arab countries, we feel that in the division they put us under. Who put us under this division? Is the dictatorship and the superpower behind it. They divide us between Sunni, Shia, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Kurdish, Dorzi, and all this division created just to make people away, afraid from change, and to don't make people unite themselves in front of justice, in front of injustice. So they divide us to rule us. They divide us to steal our wealth and to steal our national decision. The same thing now with you, people in the Western countries. You face the same challenge, and I'm afraid if you will face the same destiny, if you don't protect your democracy and if you don't protect your social fabric. It is dividing you by hatred, by racism, dividing you and spreading all this hate, xenophobia, Islamophobic, anti-Semitism, everything they divide, far right, far left, and what's going on? This is not Europe that we want, what we know. This is not West that we know. Or this is something more deeply to divide the country, to divide the people, to attack the democracy, to make your countries erode from within. And because they are afraid from the awakening people that now every day, every minute we see great people around the world, in Western countries especially, they raise their voices against injustice. They raise their voices for freedom, for equality, for accountability. So because they're afraid of you, they are trying to divide you. So don't give up. And don't allow them to succeed. Otherwise, your countries will fail like our countries. So we have a really shared, not just humanity, we have now a really shared struggle. Shared struggle to free our countries from dictatorship, because dictators anywhere is a threat everywhere. To protect your democracy, because if your democracy fell, all the world will collapse. It's to protect your social existence, your social coherence, to don't accept any kind of hatred, of racism. So this is your role as students. Raise your voice, protect your democracy, be the voice of the people, and call for the reform of the global orders, not destroying the global orders, and let's unite. I know that with all this darkness, there is a light. There is a light at the end of this tunnel. There is a light. I believe as long as we live under this sky, and the sky didn't fall on us, we have a chance to change. We have a chance to create the history. So we shouldn't make just to play the role of reading the history, which is very important, but to be part of writing it. And this is my message to you, Oxford students, and it is the same message that I delivered 15 years ago to students of Sana'a before the revolution against the dictator. Thank you so much. Okay, first the method of excluding women from political horizon, it was the method of dictator himself. I want to talk in general what is the method of authoritarian regime, but I will talk about Ali Abdullah Saleh as a model. Ali Abdullah Saleh, he was really afraid from the participation of Yemeni women, because women in Yemen, they are so strong and they have a very rich history and heritage in power, especially with our queen of Sheba, Bilqis, and our queen Arwa. So we have in our awareness that we have a very rich country, a very rich relationship, a very rich and strong role of women in the public sphere. So he deliberately works on marginalizing women. It is not just because social customs, no, he doesn't want women to be there. But he used women as decor in his regime. So puts one in the government, two in the parliament. So it's a good notice to tell the West, and we have women there, etc. So yes, this was the method of the dictator Ali Abdullah Saleh. Women movement tried a lot to convince him and to convince the regime in general on the participation of women in every field in the public life, in political life, and in state institutions, but he refused. And even with the issues like children's rights, like early marriage, etc., he refused. Then women gave him the proof that, okay, you didn't allow us to participate in the public life, okay, you will see how strong we are in the real public life, which is the revolution. So we led the revolution. Yemen revolution was led by women. That's very important. And those women, forced him, to leave the power. This is number, which is the most important participation. So anyone talk about women participation in Arab Spring, first answer, see how strong she was in the revolution. She was a real leader in all the fields. Number one. Number two, in the transitional period, we played a very strong role as a woman and as a Yemeni people. And this is also, you can implement it with all Arab Spring countries. But in the leading the country itself and writing and leading the national dialogue, which was a very important phase of Yemen at that time, and writing the constitution. And when we wrote the constitution, all the rights that we were calling for, we wrote it. Democratic rights, rule of law in general, accountability, women's rights, kids' rights, and still, it is the most important, victory of Yemeni revolution after the peaceful revolution itself, after, the implementing the peaceful method in an armed society. This is number one, which is led also by women. Then when the coup happened, militia doesn't want women. counter-revolution doesn't want women. They operate from women. They neglect women. And woman was a victim. Transfer from leaders in the revolution and in the transitional period. Now it appears as a victim. But in reality, no, woman is still now there against the Houthi militia, against the outsiders, the counter-revolution, inside Yemen and outside Yemen. So Yemeni woman is there. So when the state, when we will be able to rebuild the state, to reclaim our state, which is very soon, inshallah, when we renew it, you will see Yemeni woman and Arab woman there. Why Arab woman is not there? It is not because the revolutions didn't win or the revolution exclude them. No, in Tunis, 50% of women after the winning of the revolution in Tunis was women. In Egypt, woman has a lot of seats in every institution. So if you ask me about what is the outcomes of the revolutions regarding women, I will tell you that woman is there everywhere. If you tell me about the outcomes of chaos and military coup, and this is not this is the one that I make revolution against.
Thank you so much.
And here, it's very important to say that this reflects to something that is people that they said, oh, this chaos came because of the revolutions, because of the Arab Spring. No, it doesn't came because of the Arab Spring, because when we ruled through 3 years, 4 years, we ruled it in a very good way, our countries. Now the chaos is a result of the counter-revolution who is now spreading the chaos, wars, terrorism inside the countries. It is not because of the Arab Spring or of the revolution. Our revolution was against that, was to reclaim a new state, a stable state, and guarantee the equal citizenship, including women and men.
I see. Thank you so much. Earlier, when we were discussing before coming down, you spoke about your social media platform. Authoritarian regimes increasingly rely on digital surveillance and online repression. So I was wondering how activists like yourself, can protect themselves and their movements while still mobilizing at scale.
The first thing that they shouldn't give up, because it's a real battle. It's a real battle. The authoritarian regimes and bad peoples in general, they learn very much how to deal with the social media and how to deal campaign of lies, of bullying, of smear, of something. And the most important thing, that don't let that destroy your belief in yourself and your belief in your cause. Still, fight, as we said, you have to stay in the field against the dictator. You have to take the streets peacefully. But still, it's a very important battlefield, which is the social media and all this technology platforms. It's very important, and to create anyone who is to create alternatives, that protect people from this algorithm, from closing, pages, from deleting contents. So you have, as it's a battle. It's a battle. As now we face the authoritarian regimes in the real life, and we have now the authoritarian tech companies through their, algorithms and their, bias. انحيازهم صح their bias on some cases. So it's very important to be there and don't give up. And also you have to protect yourself from misinformation. This is very important. You have to be skeptical from everything. You have to search and search and search for the truth and tell the truth. And this is a very important weapon. Don't leave it to the bad people and to the regimes who can use it against you and against your cause.
Thank you so much for your responses. Now we will take some questions from the floor. Yes.
الله يعطيك العافية نورتي أوكسفورد.
مرحبا.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I have two questions maybe. They're a bit specific to the region in terms of Syria and Yemen itself. So, you know, I agree with your characterization of Egypt, UAE, KSA as being counter-revolutionary. But as a Syrian, I'm very, you know, I'm pleasantly surprised about Saudi Arabia's role with our, you know, the successful revolution now. I wonder, do you agree with my characterization that they're playing a good role now, or do you think there's more to it than we're seeing? And then the second question is, you know, noting what you said about, I think the Houthis, Iran, KSA, UAE, you know, being against the revolution in Yemen, does the decoupling of KSA and UAE and the weakening of Iran on Yemen, you know, is it something now, does it bode well for maybe the future of Yemen, or is it not as simple as that?
I like your two questions. It's very important. The role of Saudi. For me, I criticizes the role of Saudi in Arab Spring from day one. So they didn't do good work with Arab Spring. They conspired against it, etc., etc. But now in this time, especially with their dealing with Syrian revolution, I thank them a lot. And now with Yemen, after this disagreement between Saudi and Emirates, that's a very, very big gift for Yemenis. Very big gift. And that is something that makes Saudi Arabia awaken. Awaken تستيقظ.
Yeah.
That makes Arabia awaken. And this is very important because I think Saudi Arabia before has wrong strategy, think that through this non-nation actors or armed actors, they can play their influence in Yemen, for example. But now when they see that the division and the destruction will attack them, will reach to the Saudi Arabia, they started to awaken and to change their strategy. And really that's what happened after the Emirates by their allies in Yemen, the separatist council, when they attack Hadramaut, is in the border of Saudi Arabia, and it's one of the most important governorate in Yemen. So, but at the same time, it's the governorate that really represent the real national interest of Saudi Arabia. So now Saudi Arabia is playing a very good role in Yemen, supporting, as they announced before, that they were supporting the legitimacy. Now they are supporting the legitimacy. Now they are trying the unifying all the armed groups outside the state to be inside the state and to be under the umbrella of the state, and then they will gather them, to face Houthi militia, whether in peace agreement or in force. I hope that it will be with peace agreement. This is what I hope from Saudi Arabia, and this is what I expect that Saudi Arabia will, work for, is supporting a unified Yemen, because the agenda of Emirates is a divided Yemen. Now supporting a unified Yemen, not because of Yemen, it's because the Saudi Arabia national interest and the interest of the region. I hope this, and I think they really changed their policy. They awaken, and they will do a great work. It will be very dangerous if they didn't do that. Because that means not collapsing Yemen, that means collapsing Saudi Arabia and collapsing all Arab region. The same thing with Sudan. Now they are playing a good role with Sudan against UAE. So this is a disagreement that we like, and we hope that even UAE to change their policy, not just even UAE to change their policy. It is not good to be their strategy to build on fragmenting and dividing nations.
Thank you very much. My name is Alex. Thank you very much for being here at the Oxford Union. My question is about one of the most popular political actors that is in your country of origin, Yemen, the Houthis. And was it legitimate? First, do you consider them to be a terrorist organization, as many, probably most of the international community believe so? And second, was there a legitimacy in attacking Israel? And was it correct that they tried to send weapons to bomb Israel and Tel Aviv? Thank you very much.
Your first question is: Are they?
Are the Houthis? Do you consider them a terrorist organization? And
Okay.
was it correct to bomb them?
Of course, I see them as a terrorist organization. Of course, not because only they attack Israel, because they attack Yemeni people, and we warned the people from the world from day one. They waged the war, the coup against Yemeni people. We told them that Houthi militia is an armed group, that racist group. They occupied Sana'a, they occupied the authority, they destroy Yemen, they practice all kind of human rights violation. They planted millions of mines, millions of mines. So they practiced many terror attack against Yemeni people. Before people, heard about their, missiles against Israel. But when they waged their missiles against Israel, they carry a very noble value. Noble value. They said they will save Palestinian people. While it's a slogan. It's a slogan to cover their attack on Yemeni people. So we don't recognize them as an authority, and we hope that they will leave their forces, they're armed, and to be with the people. So we recognize them as a Yemeni people. That is has support from Iran. Now the outsiders use Yemeni people as their influence tools. So we hope that they will stop their, and this is I will return to your question about the weekends of Iran. And so the weekends of Iran maybe now in these days will help Yemenis people on facing Houthi militia. But what I really hope that we reach to an agreement with them, because if we can deal with them in the peace agreement, they leave armies and weapons and be in the political life as a political group. That is the best scenario that we are working for.
We will take one final question.
It was a great talk. So my question is on the Arab Spring. You did kind of answer the first part with saying that how the Arab Spring, we did have, for four years we had something going, and then obviously we had the revolution. If we had another Arab Spring, if we had another revolution, how would that come about? How do you want to materialize that? And do you think that would come in a peaceful way? Do you think we can do it peacefully, or do you think it will have to come in with arms?
Now it is not Arab Spring, it's World Spring. It's American Spring.
Yeah.
It's British Spring. It's European Spring. So now there is a very big spring against authoritarian rule. So yes, as I said before, that Arab Spring came waves, and it came proven by 3 waves, not just. It was the first wave with the our revolution against dictators in Syria, in Egypt, in Yemen, in Libya, and Tunis, and then Morocco. It was in the brink of fall down of the dictatorial regime. So people didn't feed up from calling the change. So it will be waves and waves and waves until they reach to the freedom. We test the test, the beautiful test of freedom. Even when go to the street and dying under the violence. So we will not stop dreaming, sacrificing for this cause. But the new thing is that this is spreading, not just in the regional, it's around the world. Now, what is happening in America, really American Spring. Real American Spring led by young people against capitalism, against, corruption, against injustice, against hypocrisy. And we will witness it here and everywhere. So this is why always I said I am optimistic about and this is why I told you in the beginning of the lecture. So don't lose hope, because at the end, yes, I know, and we should know, and we should believe in ourselves and in the young people led by you, that they will create change, really create change. There's the mass, demonstrations and sit-ins. People are calling for many causes, for Ukraine, for Palestine, for Sudan, for immigrants, for everything, climate change. They are doing great, and they are the people who will really write the history. Thank you.
Right, thank you so much.
Thank you.